This is The O Factor, a new podcast with the intention to educate, inspire, and build trust with patients and communities. Hi, I'm Dr. O, your host. I am a board-certified family medicine and lifestyle medicine physician, and I'm the Associate Chief Medical Officer here at TrueCare. I am very happy to be here with you today. On this episode, we're going to explore a little bit about the Hispanic Heritage Month, some of the barriers and challenges that patients face, and flu vaccines. You might have noticed that we have a couple bobbleheads here on the table. I have a somewhat large bobblehead collection. It is one of my hobbies. And during each episode, I am going to be asking my guests to pick one bobblehead to have in front of them and join us for the episode. Today, we have Dr. Carrio, who chose Snoopy.
Yeah, this one called to me today. Cute little guy, and like I said, I'm kind of in my mom era right now, so this is kind of, I think, a good buddy for today's cast.
Okay, so let's get into it. On today's episode, we have with us Dr. Kelsey Carrio. She is a board certified family medicine physician, and she currently serves as the associate clinical director for our adult medicine department. She graduated from Ross School of Medicine, completed her family medicine residency in South Jersey in 2018, and has been working with TrueCare since 2020. She has a passion for serving the underserved communities, and she has special interests in procedures, MAT, Hep C, HIV PrEP services. And outside of medicine, she enjoys watching sports, trying new restaurants, and spending time with her family. How are you doing today?
Great. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, very good. So I am very happy that you are here with us today on our first episode of this podcast. And we're gonna, be going through some questions and talk about different topics. And I'm gonna warn you, the first and last questions are gonna be a little bit kind of serious. So I would like to get us kicked off by trying to understand a little bit about you. You've been in practice for around 7 years in community health centers. What has been one of the most powerful lessons that you've learned from your patients about just health and resilience in general?
Yeah, I think our patients show us a lot of resilience, right? A lot of our underserved patients come to healthcare or access healthcare later, maybe after maybe too long that they have needed to see us sooner. So I think that for them to really put into a perspective to just take it day by day, right? I think healthcare can be overwhelming to many, especially if they are unsure of their health status. So I think it really does take into account if they just, take today, let's get into the see the doctor, build that trust with the doctor, and they really keep hope, I think, with medicine once they find that we're very comforting, we're like family, and we really try to take care of them as a whole person. I think that it shows the resilience within their day to day to go through things that I couldn't even imagine to go through as an individual. So I think that for them to show up for their health and for us to be their support is really just pivotal in their health.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. Sometimes it's just being there, right? So you see patients that come from different places and different they're going everyone has a different story. So I think it's just sometimes showing up and listening and being there for them. It's really important. So this month we are celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month. This is actually something that was created back in 1968 because you asked for a fun fact. So here you go. 1968, at 68, President Lyndon Johnson created this. Started as a week initially, and then it was extended to a full month by another president. Um, this is something that starts as celebrating the independence of different Hispanic countries, but then also recognizing the contributions and the influence of the Hispanic culture. For us here at TrueCare, it's also very personal because many of our patients and staff carry this heritage. So speaking into talking about the Hispanic community and the barriers to care that you spoke of, many people do actually put off like seeing their providers, and you've probably seen a lot of that already. In your experience, what are some of those reasons, and what can we do to encourage people to take a step forward and come and see us?
Yeah, I think there's various reasons why patients don't come to us right away, right? So, I mean, not inclusive by all means, but some of the main things is fees, costs. What is it going to charge? How much is they going to charge me? Do I have that money, expendable at the time? So I think we've done a really good job in trying to help those people network into our support staff to help them enroll in insurance if they're able to. We offer the sliding scale, fee service so that people can get health care no matter if they could pay or not. I think, being able to have the prescriptions, pharmacies on sites helps give our patients medications at a reasonable cost. So I think some of those fears of cost can be alleviated by the services we offer here at TrueCare. Additionally, obviously, just fear of diagnoses. I think a lot of patients know my mom has diabetes, my dad has diabetes. I really don't want diabetes, right? So I think they come in with that hesitancy, that denial. So I think letting them know that we're here to treat them, and we'll take it baby steps, and we'll really try to encourage them not only to, hopefully change their lifestyle, providing food for them if that's what they need to make healthier decisions, education with our diabetic educators, just trying to empower them for a better lifestyle altogether. Of course, we do have the medication support, but that's only one small factor in the whole person.
Yeah, no, to your point of patients being fearful of a diagnosis, I think you've encountered this many times as well, where like I've seen patients that they haven't seen us in years. Like, when was the last time you went to the doctor? It's like, yeah, it's been like 10 years. And something I see very often with speaking of some of the Hispanic patients, the male patients, they tend to be like older than 30.
Mhm.
They come for just a general checkup, and I ask them the question. It's like, okay, so I see what the electronic medical record says that you're here for, but don't tell me you're here because your wife told you to come, right?
Exactly.
9 out of 10 times they'll look at me like, yes, that's exactly why I came, right? And then you start talking to them, and then they just, exactly what you said, right? So like my family has diabetes, like I'm worried I can get cancer. Like and a lot of them, they're like, I just don't want to know. Like,
Mhm.
I'm gonna die of something, like I just don't want to know. But I think it is really important to, especially within the Hispanic culture, to encourage and empower people to make those decisions, and to understand that they're gonna come to us and we're gonna partner with them. We're not gonna be, telling them what to do, right? Where it's a journey, that healthcare, and then it is very difficult. And I think another barrier that I see is like not speaking the same language, right? So like you see this with your patients when I don't know if you have a story or something, when a patient, you go into the room and you start talking to them in Spanish because you see that's their preferred language. So how does that sort of change the dynamic of
Yeah.
that encounter?
No, I think it's huge, right? It's an instant connection. So those patients that unfortunately, even with we do our best sometimes with providers that are not their primary language is Spanish with translation, interpretation services, but sometimes it doesn't hit quite the same way to patients. And so I think that they really like I have a patient in mind that I think of where she was like, "Oh, you speak Spanish. Oh, great. I can tell you all these questions I've had for the last 3 visits." And I was like, "But you had 3 visits. Why didn't you address those at that time?" So either she's embarrassed to say so, or she just didn't know how to communicate that correctly. And then, if sometimes if there's another person in the room, that's like another person, another barrier that she would feel. So I think, yeah, it constantly comes up where they're instantly connected. They're soon inviting, their tia, their tio, their abuelo. Everyone's coming to see you because they're like, we found a doctor and she's great and she speaks Spanish. So I think that's it's kind of it's why we do what we do.
Yes, and I think it's very rewarding to be able to do that, and you see it in their face, right? You walk into the room, they smile, and like, you speak Spanish, and of course, and I get that a lot as well, where they'll just open up, and I ask the same questions, like, why didn't you tell the, like, you were just here 3 days ago, like you could
Yeah.
have. But I mean, it goes a long way. So I think the fact that we here at TrueCare have over 60% of our staff who's bilingual, can help a lot with that. I mean, we recently celebrated National Latino Physician Day, so we definitely need more of Latino physicians in general. Just we need more doctors in general and healthcare providers, but we do the best we can. And coming back to the other barriers to care, right? So we do a lot of things here at TrueCare, such as providing transportation, the food distributions that you talked about. Is there anything else or any other efforts that you think that sort of distinguish us from other places that you've been or other places that you sort of heard about?
I think trying to meet them where they are, right? So I think that's kind of the new shift in medicine or mobile units or street medicine. I think those are all very integral pieces of further accessing patients in the places they need most. So I think that's a specialty service that I think that's pretty awesome that we're starting and exploring. I think that patients really just a lot of it's word of mouth, right? That they really just are either coming from other networks or maybe they have seen you on a certain, broadcast. And then they feel familiar. So definitely we're out there, we're making ourselves known, really trying to be the face of healthcare that, we would want to be treated here. So I think that echoes with our patients, and I think our patients are feeling more and more comfortable to seek care even if those uncomfortable barriers are might be in the way.
I completely agree with that. And you speak about mobile units, so I'm gonna shift gears a little bit and talk about just vaccines in general, but also with a little bit of emphasis on the flu vaccine. And we're getting into the flu season that can extend for several months. Every year looks a little bit different. We recently started this mobile vaccination program, right? So we have the option of any patient come to us. They can come for just a vaccine appointment. They can come and see us for anything, and then we can offer those vaccines free of cost to them. So those are different options. But then this new program will actually take vaccines to them in the form of not only mobile events, but going to their houses, right? So like knocking on their doors and like, here I am. Are you ready for your vaccine? You didn't come to us, we'll come to you.
Yeah.
So I think that's something great that it can help us deliver the vaccines to meet the needs of the community, because that's what we're here to do, provide care for all.
Mhm.
Ensuring that it's not, and this is not just keeping ourselves protected, it's like everyone in the community. And I think we're currently facing a lot of sort of mis and disinformation that's out there and about vaccines and healthcare in general. So want to ask you about what are some common misconceptions that you get from your patients about vaccines, and how do you typically address those?
Yeah, I think definitely social media has a lot to do with this most recent kind of brigade. We hear such things like vaccines are toxic, vaccines are going to make me sick, vaccines can lead to other medical conditions that are, may not be true. So I think, really trying to hone in on data and facts and not necessarily opinions by individuals is really important. We have unpulse studies. I don't think patients want to read studies, but I think that patient reports would probably be more likely heard. I think that, the biggest concern I always hear is the sick one. I think that's a big one. Like, I don't want to take this because I have plans this weekend. I'm going to get sick. So I think if you are in healthcare, you've heard that.
Yes. I've heard
So
that many times as well.
correct. So I think, just educating the patients that no, this is not directly going to give you illness. It can give you maybe a body response, but that's just your body immune system building up resistance to this, nasty virus or whatever it may be. So, I think that's just, again, education. So making sure patients are well aware, walking them through it. If they're really nervous and they're due for multiple vaccines, dial it down, give them the ones you think are more precedent at the time, have them come back for the other few, try not to overload them because I think that scares a lot of them when you're like, you're due for 4 vaccines, right?
Yes.
So I think taking it baby steps, really trying to have them understand the importance of it, how it not only protects them, like you mentioned, the herd immunity is important, especially ones that have kids at home that, bring a lot of fun things back. So I think really just trying to educate that population. I think I have a cute story. I remember I have a patient that would come every flu season with her brother. The patient was maybe 4 or 5 at the time, and then her brother, and then the mom. So they would always come and they'd come get their flu vaccines. And once the girl got old enough, she'd be like, "Why is dad not here?" Right? And she brought that up to mom. And mom's like, "Oh, dad doesn't do these, kind of thing. Like he's just not his not his thing." And so she's like, that doesn't seem right, like you make us do it. So the mom later told me that she confronted dad, and was like, "Dad, why don't you come with us next time, because it's supposed to make you strong," because the things that she had been told, right?
Yes.
So it makes you strong, makes you not get sick and all these things. And so it was really funny because we did end up seeing dad
Oh,
the following season. And I was like, whoa, that goes to show, you can have been persuaded by even your littlest
yeah.
uh, fans, so let's say. So,
That's such a great story. I think that, you never know how people receive the information, how they respond to it, and that's just such a powerful story. And it's a very, I mean, I would have the same question, like you were telling me, like, where is he? That sounds like something my daughter would say too. But we all get our vaccine, so um, that's great. So to your point earlier about the response, I hear this a lot as well. It's like, oh, not today, or I'll get this one, but not the other one because so and so told me that it's not good to get the vaccine. In fact, when you're getting those symptoms and you perhaps get a fever or something, low grade fever, something like that, that's actually what you want, right? It means that your immune system's actually working because if we get none of that, it's like, oh, maybe there's something wrong with you.
right.
But I think it is difficult to sort of sometimes have that conversation. And the approach I tend to take, like, this is true story, like, I most of the time, and I don't have actual data numbers, but like, I'll go into rooms, and how you have our medical assistants, and then they'll even write it, and they'll say patient declines vaccines, right? So I go into the room, and then I have the conversation. I say, oh, I see that we offer you some vaccines and you don't want to get them, so tell me more, right? So it's having that conversation, because you have two choices. You have the choice of, like, okay, I have a lot of things to talk about. Like, somebody asked, I'm gonna ignore that.
Mm-hmm.
Or, which is the choice I usually always make, to be honest, is let's talk more about it, right? What is the reason? Try to address those concerns and that hesitancy that exists in general in the population. And then you're able to answer questions for them, and they can make an informed decision, right? From trusted healthcare sources, from people like you and I who are board certified and actually know what we're talking about. I think it's important to be able to present the information that way and not get that from social media and so many other places where, as I said, there's a lot of misinformation out there in now more than ever.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
that's crazy. So some final thoughts here, as we come to a close. As I said before, we're going to end with some sort of other more serious question. What is one guiding principle you think our community should carry forward to build a healthier future together?
Yeah, I think it all comes down to a couple big points, right? But I think trust is huge. So I think, having them trust us as providers, having them trust TrueCare as their healthcare network, um, building trust to know that we will take care of them no matter what the political climate would be. I think building that trust, and so they keep coming back to us, even when they receive bad news or, other information from outside sources, and not be scared to receive care. I think that trust factor in trying to take care of the individual with kindness, integrity, and just really trying to treat the whole person. The trust can be broken and severed just by, small little things that could happen either with the system itself, within families and such. So I think, trust building, rapport building, really being there and being that listener, like you said. Sometimes the prescription they need is just a social visit, right? So I think it's just having them come in, talk through their issues, help them the best we can, and they hopefully will look forward to that next visit. So I think it's really just getting ourselves, get them through the door, do our part, and really making them feel comfortable, making them trust us with their health care. And that way, I think that'll help the community as a whole just build towards healthier decisions in their future.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great reflection. And whole person care, right? So like you mentioned that a couple times throughout our talk today, and that's what we're here to do, right? So if you come and see us, your appointment, you can come for a knee pain. That could be the reason you want to see us, but we have 10 other reasons why we want to talk to you, and we're going to talk to you about your, depending on your age, your colon cancer, test, and your breast cancer screening test, or your cervical cancer test, or have you seen a dentist lately? Are you feeling depressed? Do you suffer anxiety? Again, depending on who you are, what age, um, we're gonna ask you a lot of questions, and that we want to partner with you, like I said before, and take care of the whole person, not just focus on the one reason you're coming.
Yeah.
And I think that is part of our mission, part of the culture we have, and as clinicians, that that is who we have a person in front of us, and they're entrusting us with their health, and it is our duty and responsibility to do that for them. So I think it's very important to be able to do that. So thank you so much for joining us on our very first podcast episode. It was very nice to chat with you today, and just hear about your personal practice, your journey, and then everything that TrueCare is doing out there in the community.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
There are a lot of questions, misconceptions, misinformation, disinformation, all sorts of different things are being said out there on social media and all various different platforms. There's even people out there who are not medical professionals trying to give medical advice. Today, we're going to talk about a couple different myths that exist in medicine. This is myth and medicine. One of the questions that I often get is, I've been told not to exercise while I'm fasting. Is this real? Well, for the most part, for every person who's healthy and doesn't have a lot of medical conditions, it is rather safe to be able to exercise in the morning before you've had anything to eat. However, I would recommend that you talk to your medical professional about your particular case, because if you are a patient who has diabetes, as an example, and you're injecting insulin, or your medications, and you haven't had something to eat, potentially your blood sugar can go a little bit lower than usual, and you can experience some symptoms. So in general, for the population, it's pretty safe to be able to do exercise while you're fasting, but I would recommend to just check on your particular case. Another question I often get is, I was told that cold weather causes colds. I will say that this is a myth. What tends to happen is that people just get sick a lot more often during the winter with respiratory viruses and illnesses, because they tend to gather indoors, making it easier for people to just spread the virus because they're spending a lot of time indoors. And, some viruses out there do tend to replicate and be more out there during the cold weather as well. But it's not necessarily that the cold or winter will actually cause the cold, right? They're caused by viruses and different sort of microorganisms are out there. So it's just one of the many reasons why you can perhaps see that being more often during cold weather. Have a burning question? Type it down below, and we might feature it in an upcoming episode. Today, I want to leave you with 3 tips. Number 1, move a little every day. You don't have to pay for a gym membership. You can do something as simple as walking after each meal for around 10 to 15 minutes. Number 2, add some color to your plate. Try to shoot for about half of your plate with different fruits and vegetables so you can increase the amount of healthy foods throughout your day. Number 3, prioritize your sleep. 7 to 8 hours can help you reduce your stress, keep your brain sharp, and improve your immune system. Thank you so much for tuning in. Stay healthy and know that TrueCare is always here for your healthcare needs.